Hey everyone, Tristan back with another video, and in this video we're taking a look at and reviewing this watch. This is the Rolex Milgauss with the Z Blue dial. The model number on this one is the 11600GV, and this is a really cool watch. I think something that I've been wanting for quite a while. Just recently there was some rumors that they were going to discontinue this model, but they actually didn't end up discontinuing it here in 2021. Maybe they will discontinue it next year, and if they do, I think the value of this model is going to soar because the blue dial is pretty sought after and I think quite unique. Now, as you can see, as I move it around here and as it catches the light at different angles, the blue can vary from looking like quite bright blue to almost black, just depending on how the light hits it. And then it also has the green sapphire crystal as well, so it kind of gives it a green tinge from the edges at certain angles. Really a cool watch. Now the thing is, this watch does have some controversy behind it, which also kind of makes it cool and sought after in and of itself. But a lot of Rolex people don't really understand this watch and can't really figure out how it fits into the Rolex lineup because, unlike a Submariner or a Sea Dweller, it's not a dive watch. Unlike a GMT, it's not a pilot's watch. Unlike the Daytona, it's not a speed or racing watch. And unlike the Day-Date, it's not a businessman's or executive's watch. So they don't really know exactly where to place this watch. But in reality, what this watch is geared for is towards geeks. And I say that in all seriousness. It is geared towards engineers and scientists because it is a Milgauss. And what that basically means is that the movement inside of this watch is protected from magnetic frequencies up to 1,000 Gauss, hence the name Milgauss, and also things like radiation and stuff like that. Inside the case back, like if you were to open up this case back, there's actually a whole nother case back inside there, which I think is made of iron. So the whole movement of the watch is actually encased in sort of like a Faraday case inside this outer case, which makes it protected up to 1,000 Gauss. That's also the reason why this watch does not have a date on it as well, because the date window would expose it, expose the inside, so it wouldn't have that 1,000 Gauss protection. And so, yeah, this watch is really geared towards, scientists, basically. It's like a scientist's watch or an engineer's watch. And I think that is really something that's cool about it. Let me go ahead and put it on my wrist while I talk here so you can get a sense of how it looks on the wrist. By the way, my wrist is 6.5 inches in diameter. So this is how it looks on my wrist. This bracelet is the Oyster bracelet. And also this clasp or bracelet has the adjuster, so you can actually adjust it by 5 millimeters as well to make it bigger, just by going like that. And so this part can actually fold in like that or fold out, and you can actually make it bigger as your wrist expands throughout the day. The watch is fairly thick, as you can see here. I believe it's a 13 millimeter thick watch, so it is fairly thick and chunky on the wrist, but I think that gives it a really nice wrist presence, and it looks really great under a sleeve and kind of does make a statement for itself, and so I really like it in that respect. I did do a sort of 60-second showcase video on this watch a bit ago, so check the link up here for that. You can kind of see more views of this watch. But the other thing is, because of the fact that this has that iron sort of movement cage inside of it, this watch is a little bit heavy as well. Like when you wear it, you can really feel it. And that takes a little bit getting used to. But I don't find that uncomfortable or anything like that, especially after you get used to it. Of course, this has Rolex's upgraded famous stainless steel, which is better stainless steel than like what you find in lower end watches, like Tudor watches and stuff like that. And also, the thing about the sapphire crystal here that's green is apparently it's so difficult to make that they didn't even have to patent that green glass, that green sapphire crystal, because they think that nobody else will be able to figure out how to do it at all. So it's apparently quite rare in that respect as well. But as you can see here, the watch kind of looks blue in certain lights, and then in certain other angles it might look black. Just depending. Like if I go like that, you can kind of see the dial kind of turns black. So it's a sort of radial dial, as you can see, which I think is just really cool. And then the other sort of controversy about this watch is a lot of people don't like the second hand. Take a look at the second hand up close. It is actually a orange lightning bolt. A little bit whimsical, I guess. But you know, a lot of people don't think that's very Rolex-like. They think it's kind of childish. And that's another reason why I think this watch is so cool, because it's in some ways, in that respect, very un-Rolex. And that is what I think sets this watch apart from many of the other watches in the Rolex lineup. But as you can see, it's got a very attractive dial. I mean, I think from a design standpoint, I really like the way that the dial looks. I think it's one of the most attractive Rolexes out there, and I actually like that lightning bolt second hand. I think it's just something special, not something that you see very often in other watches. So I think that is something that makes this watch quite unique. And as you can see, the watch has a lack of crown guards or anything like that. So you just have the crown here that's exposed, although it is a screw down crown. So this does have some water resistance, although again, it's not really a dive watch, but you can get it, but you can put it in water and you're not going to hurt it or anything like that. In terms of the aesthetics of this watch, I have to say that it kind of leans towards the business casual side. I think it's the perfect business casual watch. I mean, certainly you wouldn't want to wear this watch with a tuxedo, but I think you could wear it with a suit. And you can also dress this watch down too. I think it does look pretty good and kind of pops if you're just wearing like jeans and a t-shirt or something like that. I mean, imagine this watch with like a black t-shirt or something like that. I think it would pop, pretty well in terms of your overall look. But in general, I would describe the look of this as sort of a business casual look. Let me go ahead and turn the lights off, and I'll shine a UV light on the dial so that you can get a sense of how the lume glows. And then let's get that UV light shining there. There we go. So as you can see, it does go pretty bright, and you can kind of see what's lit up there and what's not in terms of the hour markers, but not the second marker. The other thing about this watch is traditionally up until now, it hasn't been one of the super expensive ones that just shoot up in value like really fast. So you could still get this watch for a pretty good price. I mean, not too much over retail, actually. So that's another thing about this watch that I think makes it quite desirable. And again, if they discontinue this model, or even if they discontinue the whole Milgauss line, of course the value then will shoot up on these. I don't know if they're going to discontinue the whole Milgauss line or not, but it is a possibility because their latest movements actually have some anti-magnetic properties built into them in all of their watches that they're releasing these days, because they've replaced some of the components with silicon components instead of metal components. So they made all of their movements sort of anti-magnetic movements now, although probably still not as anti-magnetic as the Milgauss. But in some ways, that might defeat the purpose of having a Milgauss line in their lineup. I just don't know. But again, the Milgauss does have a lot of history behind it and does have quite a following. So that may not be the case. They may not actually completely get rid of the Milgauss, but they may get rid of this Z Blue dial because it has been around for several years now. And Rolex does have the precedent of discontinuing certain Milgauss models. After it was brought back, I believe in 2008, they discontinued the white dial Milgauss a few years later, so that one is now discontinued. But I can't really predict what Rolex is going to do. Those are just my thoughts on that. So thanks for watching my look at the Rolex Z Blue Dial Milgauss. Questions, comments, or feedback, please feel free to leave them. And thanks for watching. I'll see you in my next video.